After you've sent an email or two, you probably want to do a little analysis on how you're doing. We'll take a look at how to analyze your click and open rates in a minute. But a word first. It's important to understand that this is really tricky business. For one, you can't see what's going on in your subscriber's life, so you can't predict effectively why they might not be engaging with your messages. There can be any number of reasons why your newsletters are performing poorly, and from the data you can get clues as to what you need to change. In the case of our Wisdom Pets example, a subscriber may have recently lost their pet and simply can't bear to read the emails, so they delete them before they're opened. One can hardly blame them. I'm going to go over some of the most common problems that cause poor click and open rates. Boring subject lines. Hey, it happens. Good subject lines are hard to write, and you have to get really creative to catch the eyes of very busy people with really full inboxes. In my experience, a good subject line has two components. It looks worth reading, and it gives me a hint as to what's inside. Now, I realize that gives you a whole lot of leeway. All I can tell you is that you just have to try to hit these two marks and keep experimenting to see what works. Another problem is unmet needs. This is very common, and it can be even harder to figure out. When someone signs up for your newsletter, they may have a particular idea about what they're going to get. If your newsletter doesn't meet that need, they might unsubscribe. How can you figure out what your subscribers need? You can do this a couple of ways. You can ask them directly when you're face-to-face. You can use a survey on your website or Facebook page, and you can use social media. Carefully thinking through your list signups, how you segment your lists, and what you market to specific subscribers can help you design content that meets their needs. Boring content. That's another problem. While a sexy subject line can get your subscribers to open the email, if the content is boring, you'll lose them quickly before you get what you need out of them. There are tons of resources out there to help you write fun, exciting newsletters, but you first have to ask yourself, what do my subscribers want? If you think back to how you got those subscribers, that will help you know what they need. For example, if you have a bunch of subscribers with brand new pets, you want to give them what they need to adjust to that new pet. So topics like introducing a new puppy to small children, helping new pets and existing pets learn to get along will help them. But those topics may not be relevant for subscribers who have had a single pet for a very long time and are facing aging issues. Targeting your content to the subscriber will help your click and open rates improve. This is another problem, irritated subscribers. We all have very busy inboxes, and some people just never get through all their email. When you send too often, however, you run the risk of irritating your subscribers to the point that they can't stand seeing your emails, and they unsubscribe to clear just one thing off their to-do list. Send too infrequently, and you run the risk that they forget about you, or they don't recognize you, and they unsubscribe as a reflex. Getting the frequency right is tricky. Think about your customers, how often they visit you or your website, and how often they want to receive emails. If you think about their needs first, you'll get it right, or close to right, and you can improve it. Let's take a look at how your campaigns are doing. We're back at the MailChimp dashboard, logged in as Elizabeth Chase, and we're going to take a look at our first campaign and see how it did. Click the View Report button. No matter how these numbers look, it's important to remember that click and open rates vary by industry. Don't worry if you have low numbers. You can always improve them. We saw how to look at a report for your campaign in another video. There's a lot of information here that you can interpret and use to improve your click and open rates. Before you implement any of the changes to your newsletter, based on what you think you know from the data, unless it's glaringly obvious, send a few newsletters. It can take time for your subscribers to get used to receiving your messages, so don't be too harsh on yourself before you get a little time to see what works and what doesn't. Also, remember to take into account seasonal activity and the time of year. If your message is hit during the holidays, for example, don't be surprised if your numbers are a little low.